But guys, let's dive into our last topic. And what we are looking at is kind of a dual topic here with the Giants of two things. First off, there was not really news, but Colin Cowherd this week. I'm going to read it exactly just how this article has it because it always makes me laugh.
Sure.
How they word things. Yeah. Thanks to sports media personality Colin Cowherd on his talk show earlier this week, the FS1 host said that Wilson's wife, singer and entertainer Ciara, would prefer to live in New York, according to a rumor he heard in the entertainment agent world. Here's the question I want to ask you guys is, of course, we know no truth to this. I don't know Ciara Russell Wilson. You don't know Ciara Russell Wilson, unless that's what you do on your free time.
Yeah, no, she's actually my best friend.
I was saying, Russell Wilson's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, me, Ariana Grande, and Russell Wilson hanging out.
Here's the thing I want to ask you, and I proposed this because of this. So Russell Wilson's contract ends at the end of the year.
Yep.
That means he's a free agent. And much of the talk has been, oh, should the Giants trade for him? I say no, don't do that. Should the Giants, with their 6th pick, not go quarterback, either go with a wide receiver or tackle to help their offense, or trade with a team who might be wanting to trade up for one of the quarterbacks and go all in on Russell Wilson after the 2019 season? What would you guys think?
I think that if you are the New York Giants, I think not taking a quarterback this year would be extremely misguided. Eli Manning is done pretty much. I know he's the face of your franchise. He's won you 2 Super Bowls. He's an important name in New York Giant history.
After you didn't take Sam Darnold last year.
Yeah, I think you cannot do that again. There's no Saquon Barkley to take to make up for your mistakes. There is not a guy that is going to be able to change your franchise on the defensive end like a quarterback could.
Unless like a Quinnen Williams or something.
If someone falls.
I still think that, again, when we talk about like best players in the NFL, Aaron Donald might be number 1, but people are going to look back more on Tom Brady's impact or Patrick Mahomes' impact. That's the thing is you need that franchise changer.
Yep.
And I think passing that up would be extremely misguided because even if you do sign Russell Wilson, next year you can always move him. However, I don't think that where Ciara wants to live is too extremely important because Russell Wilson is going to be a multimillionaire after he signs this deal. Ciara is extremely successful on her own right. If she wants to live in New York, I mean, they can have a place in New York. And, it's going to be tough to do that throughout the season, but during the offseason, you can live in New York. There's ways around it. I personally do not think this is as big of a story as it's going to be made out to be.
Even in February when Russell Wilson's at spring training? In Arizona?
Well, he plays for the New York Yankees. So
but
there you go.
He spends the time in Arizona. He's only in spring training.
I think that you're not too far off of the truth there, Sean, except for the fact that I do believe her voice has some weight. He's about to
I'm
get
not saying it doesn't have weight.
He's about to get la-la'd.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
He's going to get la-la'd.
His choice is not his own.
Melo was from New York.
Yeah.
I think that made it a little bit easier. I think Melo also wanted
Melo's
to play in
time
New
in
York.
college, growing up in New York. I get it. But I just think that, the opinion of someone who you're spending the rest of your life with, your family, and the time you spend, like you said, you can have multiple houses. You can have places everywhere around the world. It doesn't matter. But where are you going to spend that time? And because he's an NFL player, he already has X months of the year spoken for.
Yeah.
So if that means that during your off days, you can't come home and spend time with your family, that's a big deal. Because the NFL, you're basically practicing 6 days a week for one game, and you get a couple hours a day of private time.
God forbid it's a road game and you're traveling.
True. I think that those home hours do matter a lot, and I think that if he is a family man, there's a good chance her opinion will fall in to make up some.
The last thing I want to say is that we wouldn't take her opinion in. I think for sure it does. I'm just saying I don't think that's the end all be all because I mean you can see right now. I mean look at Tom Brady, a person who his wife Giselle is I think more famous than Ciara with her international and global.
Ciara fans are going to get angry, but
Giselle is richer than Tom Brady.
Yeah,
it's just not even
her international global presence is huge and. Yeah. I think that, I don't think Giselle's, main place she wants to live is the greater Massachusetts area. I think she'd probably want to be in New York where she's closer to the modeling industry. She might want to even be back home in Brazil. I don't know where Giselle wants to live, but I think there's probably been conversations. But again, that when you marry somebody, you know what what their job entails, and that goes both ways for Russell Wilson and Sierra's career, and Russell Wilson's career, and same with Giselle and Tom. I just think that, again, this is something that you need to talk about as a couple, but I don't think it's going to be the end-all, be-all for Russell Wilson making this decision. And, hey, Colin knows Russell Wilson. He's very much
in the loop.
Yeah, in the loop. They have interviews all the time on the Herd, but I just do not think like that is going to be the end-all, be-all on where Russell Wilson plays in 2019.
Do you think it's a risk?
Or 2020.
Yeah. Do you think it's a risk if they take Dwayne Haskins at 6 and they still want Russell Wilson the following year? Do you think that they could flip Dwayne Haskins if they ever wanted to move?
They could, but here's what I'm thinking. And for the Giants, after I heard this, the Colin Cowherd, I actually watched the segment, and
thanks for the Did You Watch?
Well, I went it's like a light bulb went off in my head, and I went, they don't need to take a quarterback. Like, why not do what the 49ers did, where it's like, hey, we're not going to take Mitch Trubisky. We're going to let someone trade up for him. Like, they could, because look at this team. Their top 3 needs, according to NFL.com, are quarterback, O-line, and D-line.
Yeah.
So, first off, if you're thinking, hey, we got a good shot to get Russell Wilson, there's number 1 right there. At 6, let's say they don't trade. At 6, if I'm just looking at our mock drafts for Mark and I, this past go-around 4.0, I had my top offensive tackles were at 7 and 9. Jonah Williams, Juwan Taylor. You can take either of them at 6 if you like them. Also, if you want to go D-line, you could go with a inside presence like Ed Oliver. You can go with an outside presence like Montez Sweat. You can even go Christian Wilkins. Like, there are guys you can go. Or if you think like Wilkins, you're trading back. Let me trade with a team like the Redskins, get a future first potentially or a future second, and then go back and get a defensive player and not have to take that quarterback. Also, you can look at it this way, and this is one thing I believe, is if you are bad this year and have a top 5 pick, if not the number 1 pick in the draft, because free agency happens before the draft, let's say you strike out with Russell Wilson. Let's say he stays in Seattle. Let's say he goes to his hometown and says, I want to be a Bengal because he's from Cincinnati. I don't know who would ever say that.
Cincinnati.
But let's say you strike out with Russell Wilson.
Guess who's available in the draft?
Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah. And I'd rather have him than Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins.
That's actually interesting, Rick. I think you might be onto something.
I think it is something to go at, to think about for sure.
Yeah.
I just think with
right?
Because it's a long game, too. You've got the Eagles that are competitive. You got the Cowboys that are competitive. You give them another year of their contracts getting towards the end. Eventually, the Cowboys are going to have to pay Dak, which is going to take a big hold of their money. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Amari Cooper, too.
Carson will come up at some point for the Eagles.
Exactly. It takes a year of, we're going to let your contracts get a year older.
As long as they can keep OBJ and Saquon.
That's the thing, is when will they get too upset? Because, they're locked
Another
in.
Year of
they're
losing.
locked in.
I don't think Saquon will. It's OBJ that's the question.
Yeah. But if you're looking at, like you said, it's a long-term thing. If you look at next year like a throwaway year.
Because Eli's got 1 year left. He's got this year and he's done.
If it's just a throwaway year, and I'm going to be guaranteed either Russell Wilson or Tua, I'll be honest, I'm in that minority probably who's going to be like, fuck it, go play a shitty season. I don't care. Like, I will take one bad season for
but it
hasn't
been one bad season. That's the thing. It's
the
Giants have not been good.
Well, they had 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, they were a decent team.
This year they're 6th. Last year they were 2nd. Who did they take the year prior? Was it?
I'm looking it up. I'm looking at their season.
Was that the Eli Apple year? Were they 13th?
So they finished last year. They were 5-11, then 3-13. 2016 they were 11-5. Lost in the wild card to the Packers. I remember that day because I got my TV that day.
Yeah. I just think that another year, and then you have to question the coach too. I think you can't just losing to lose is not really explainable.
But these short-term decisions.
We live in the tanking era.
Not in the NFL. There's still consequences for there's more consequences for tanking in the NFL than there are in the NBA.
I mean, it's not as easy to do as in the NBA, but
it's also
that's the
easier
problem.
to explain. It's also easier to get the number 1 pick. Even if you're the 6th team, you have a chance of being the number 1 pick. Not happening in the NFL.
Well, and I mean,
and also, one player can change a franchise in the NBA. One player does not change the franchise, but you can
unless it's a quarterback.
But you can, but it doesn't change the franchise. It makes it easier to change the franchise.
Agree to disagree.
And that's
Where do you disagree with that?
I think that one player absolutely changes the franchise in the NFL. Like
if you get the right quarterback.
Okay, has Aaron Rodgers made Green Bay Packers a playoff team in the past 2 years?
I mean,
he has not been healthy.
That's probably the most interesting one because I know Mark has thrown out numerous times that
Andrew Luck. What Andrew Luck being healthy has done to the Indianapolis Colts.
They've been a good team when he's healthy. Yes, health is always the thing. But you're picking on these injured guys.
No, but I'm just saying that, of course, it's the most important.
Yeah.
It's the most important, but like Andrew Luck has not always gone to the playoffs every single year.
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers has not gone to the playoffs every single year,
No,
even
it's
when
not
healthy.
a guarantee, but,
even when healthy.
But
Peyton Manning was not winning playoff games when healthy. Like
not
he
having to answer the question of who our quarterback is for the next 7 years guaranteed.
Huge.
Massive.
But then why wouldn't you want to answer that question earlier than later? Because even if you answer that and say Haskins isn't our guy after 1 year, you might still be in the position to take Tua.
You might be, but the problem is then you basically wasted last year's opportunity for a guy that I know there's a lot of people who really love Dwayne Haskins. The dude has a cannon for an arm, amazing college run. I look at someone a year out. Maybe I'm always just grass is always greener in college. I just look at Tua and I'm like, the man's delivered everything you could possibly want from a college quarterback, and there's no better prospect that I've seen in the last 6 years than him.
Well, then why not just wait 1 more year for Trevor Lawrence because he's even better than Tua.
Is he?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is a fucking stud.
There's rumors that Trevor Lawrence might be better. But I feel like that's too long.
Rumors, there's tape, brother.
No,
look at the tape.
Let's see 2 more years.
He was really good.
I'm just saying, I was a big Trevor Lawrence doubter because I was like, how good is this kid? And then you saw those last 2 games and you're like, oh, this kid's really good.
I don't know if the Giants are waiting that long. But here's the thing where I will throw out about Andrew Luck.
But no,
wait, let me just throw this out.
Counter argument is you can always wait.
He's a bad example because if you're saying they don't always make the playoffs, the only year that Andrew Luck didn't make the playoffs was when he went 8-7 in 2016. In between his 2 injured seasons, every other year they've been a playoff team with Andrew Luck.
Yes.
So I mean, and who knows if Tua's going to be that? Tua could bust. We don't know.
But to even go after that, when they didn't have they made the playoffs with Peyton Manning, then Peyton got injured. They put in Curtis Painter. They were 2-14. They got Andrew Luck. They were a playoff team. Yes, it can change a franchise, but that team also hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2006.
And it also goes to the effect of what Dave brought up. They could say, hey, at 6, we're going to take Dwayne Haskins. You're going to sit behind Eli.
If Eli gets hurt, you come in.
But let's say next year,
we can re-bench Eli.
Let's say next year they sign Russell Wilson. Then at that point they can say, all right, who wants Dwayne Haskins?
Aren't you not then taking down his trade value of letting him sit because then teams are going to question, well, what's his actual talent level if he hasn't played and you're starting garbage Eli Manning over him?
I mean, that's a decision they have to make.
You're not going to get your money back on the 6th overall pick for him, but I think that you could still get a 1. Yeah.
You could get a 1 for him.
I know. My legs have melted to this chair.
But I feel like you could get a 1st-round pick for him.
Yeah.
At that point, and you're getting Russell.
I agree. You're not going to get the money back that you spent on him.
Which, Russell
at least that
Wilson
way you have an answer one way or the other.
Yeah.
And
so if I were the Giants to wrap this up on my end, I would say take Haskins. It's at least
and then try for Russ anyways.
Try for Russ anyways.
What about you?
Just there's no guarantee. It scares me.
I think go after Haskins. Go after Haskins or Murray, whoever you believe is the better quarterback.
First one to throw out Murray in this one. Nice.
Well, because we just talked that he was going to go number 1.
We're assuming.
But if he doesn't, he's still available.
John Gruden really liked him.
Go Haskins or Murray, and I think off of that, see what their progression is year 1. Because the clear thing is that in signing Russell Wilson, it's going to be a lot of money and it's going to be a lot of years for a guy who I think is going to be 31 years old. And not saying he's not talented and won't be able to keep up the production, but
he'll be 31.
But you could be having a guy in Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins if they do play well on a rookie deal, and we've seen how teams have done. Well, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, that is the recipe so far. And I think
Chicago Bears,
the Chicago Bears. I think that's the recipe so far. Tom Brady. I think that's been the recipe so far. He gets paid like a rookie. I was joking.
It's fun.
I was joking.
I like it.
I think that might be a thing because if they are talented, you make the playoffs or you're 8-8, then why would you go out and sign Russell Wilson with his cap? Go help your young quarterback. That makes more sense.
Yep.
I think for me, I'm feeling like if it was me, I'm going to be bold. Giants fans may not like me. Roll the dice. Where I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to look at 3 players. I'm going to look at Ed Oliver, Jonah Williams, Juwan Taylor. Whichever one I like out of those 3, that's who I'm going to take at 6. Or if like the Lions, because I know Mark and I talked last week where the Lions threw out that they might trade up for a quarterback. Yeah, I'm sorry, not trade up for a quarterback. They would maybe take a quarterback at 8. But if a team like the Dolphins or Redskins move up, I might say, hey, let's make that deal. But at 6, those are the 3 guys I would look at and try for Russ the year after rather than take Dwayne Haskins and go the safe route. I may roll the dice, and fans might be angry with me because, I mean, you need these, and you add Russ, and that might be enough to get you over that hump with an offensive tackle, offensive lineman, or a defensive tackle.
I think the last option that we haven't really gone after, I think this will be my final point, is what about Kyle Lauletta? I'm kidding.
Well, the reason why I have that
I liked him, but he's not.
I liked him in last year's draft. I just don't know if he's going to pan out. Like, I don't know if he's going to be.
No, of course. I mean,
because I thought he'd be a late round guy that could maybe develop in a couple of years. I think the timelines maybe changed.
I'd rather have Haskins or Wilson over Kyle Lauletta. Of course, I was just being an asshole.
Okay. Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Let us know what the Giants should do. Should they even go for Russell Wilson, or will Russell Wilson even be there? Do you believe the rumors from Colin Cowherd? Also, make sure to check us out on patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, and make sure to follow us on Twitter at Schwarbo, at Dave_don't_tweet, at Ricky Widmer, at Most Valuable Pod. Before I end it, Sean.
You didn't let me give my where Russell Wilson will play in 2020 prediction. The Salt Lake Stallions. He's going to end up in Salt Lake, Dave's favorite place in America.
The AAF.
He needs some development. He's 5'8".
Wow.
Shots fired, Sean Anderson.
Thank you guys for watching us on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening to us on podcast services around the world. Mark will hopefully be here next week, but as always.
If not, you could always have us back.
As always, have a good day, everybody.